What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Ty. This is Stock Muscle, and recently I've been looking for good video game companies. I'm bullish on the video game sector. I was before COVID, and I will be after COVID. I think long-term video games are going to be great. They're going to do great, especially with esports coming about. But it's been tough to find good companies. I think the video game companies are either fairly valued or overvalued, but I think I found one that has pretty good long-term growth prospects, that's cheap right now, that you can add to the portfolio, hold long-term, and I think you'll see good gains from it. Let's get into it, guys. This is Stock Muscle. Okay, so the company I want to talk to you guys today about is none other than the tried and true Nintendo company. So what's the deal with Nintendo? You've probably all heard that the Nintendo Switch Pro is upon us. Now, it's just a rumor, but being a broker, you would hear this phrase all the time: buy the rumor, sell the news. That basically means that when you're starting to hear the rumors and there's smoke building up, that's when you want to jump in. Now, when the announcement actually happens, that's when you should consider selling. Now, I don't naturally agree with that, but it was a common phrase in the brokerage business. But anyway, the Nintendo Switch Pro is apparently behind us. So I'm starting to see the articles. Credible sources are coming out. They're talking to anonymous sources, and they're leaking information about the upcoming Nintendo Switch Pro. I'm really bullish on this. Right now, Nintendo's cash cow is the Nintendo Switch. Now you have a situation, if you're running Nintendo, you have a situation where your competitors all have new products. Microsoft has the new console. Sony has the new PlayStation 5. So you got to make a power move. You can't let your competitors, out hardware you. So I think this is Nintendo's response. So let's dive in and let's take a look at the stock at where it currently stands, and we'll talk about where we think the stock can go. So let's take a look at Yahoo Finance. Now, Yahoo Finance is one of my favorite sources for, at a glance information. So today the stock closed at $76.70. It was down $1.30 on a day, which I think is a good thing. The more this stock goes down in price, the more I like it. I may sit back and watch it a bit before I decide to buy to see if I can maybe get it at that 71, 68 range, but I highly doubt that'll happen, especially with E3 coming up very soon. And the official announcement on the Switch Pro they're anticipating that it's going to be then that they're going to officially announce it. But if we look at the price to earnings ratio, the PE ratio, so the PE saying is I'm paying this amount for every dollar of earnings for the company. So you're paying $16 for every $1 of earnings for Nintendo. That's considered low. The PE ratio for the S&P 500 right now is between 30 and 40, I believe. So if you want to compare it to the S&P, it's low. I believe this is also historically low for the company as well. So if you're a fan of the PE ratio, it looks like we could buy the company cheap right here. Let's dig into what we usually dig into. Before we make any considerations, before we consider buying any stock, we need to make sure that the company is a good company, that is solvent, that revenue is growing. So let's take a look at Nintendo's revenue. First things first, guys, revenue. So let's go back for about 5 years. Let's look at 2016. Now, the current Nintendo Switch was introduced in the year of 2016. So you're going to see revenue explode when the Switch is introduced. So revenue has gone from $4.2 billion to $12 billion. That's huge revenue growth. And once again, the cash cow, the driver of that revenue growth is the current Nintendo Switch. It's Nintendo's current cash cow. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about the Pro, is because, we got a refreshed version. Are the long-term Switch owners going to consider upgrading to the Pro? I'm betting that they will. So it's not about how much you make, it's about what you keep. So if we slide down to net income, they've grown net income nicely as well. So net income has gone from $137 million to $2 billion. The company is not only pulling in revenue, they're keeping more of it year over year, which is a huge positive. Let's see, earnings per share. Earnings per share has also grown handsomely from about 14 cents per share to over $2 per share. Another plus there, huge plus for the company. So we can find safety in the fact that Nintendo knows how to grow their revenue. We look back 5 years, that's solid. Balance sheet, solvency. Can the company pay its bills? The company currently has assets of 17 billion, liabilities or debt of just about 3 billion. So no problems there. In this case, assets just about triple liabilities, or more than triple liabilities, I should say. That's a check there. Last thing, let's go through the cash position. I love companies with cash. We're sitting here talking about the company building a new console. Cash is the way that they're going to do that. Cash allows you to do things like that. Launch new software, new games, new properties, new consoles. That typically comes from cash. So cash from operations currently stands at $3.2 billion. So the company's got the bank. So the company's a solid company. These are the type of companies I like to look at because, if we're going to make investments, if we're real investors, we got to make sure that we're putting our money into companies that make money and keep money and grow cash. Those are the huge things. I think the company is considering buying back shares. On the last earnings call, they asked the CEO specifically, would there be a share buyback program? And this is what he said. He alluded to maybe. He gave us a maybe with the share buybacks. I would love to see it. But he said something to the extent of, we'd rather invest in new hardware, which is a big hint. I think he was talking about the Nintendo Switch Pro. So, where there's smoke, there's fire. So there's articles sprouting up all over the place about the Nintendo Switch Pro. So let's delve into those. This one's from Bloomberg. It says Nintendo plans to upgrade Switch replacement as soon as September. So we're talking about this thing rolling out fairly quickly. Now, we can't ignore the issue that there's been a semiconductor shortage globally. A lot of companies, car manufacturers, TV manufacturers, anything that has a semiconductor in it, those companies have had trouble securing enough of those chips to build their products. So that kind of worries me about the new Nintendo Switch Pro, and if maybe Nintendo will delay it or something like that, but I haven't heard anything like that. So as far as the rumors are going, it's full speed ahead, and the company may be looking to launch this thing as early as September. So I'm very bullish on that. Let's go to the second page and let's read some of the highlights here. So Nintendo plans to begin assembling of its new Switch as soon as July. That's next month. And release the upgraded replacement for its 4-year-old game console in September or October, right before the holidays. Perfect time. People familiar with the matter said they're going to price it higher. It's going to be, the original was $299. They're thinking this one's going to be $50 to $100 more, which is a positive because, once again, we're looking for companies that grow revenue. If they're going to come in and buy a pretty similar system to what they have now at a higher cost, that's a positive. Okay, so let's scroll down to the bottom, and it says that assemblers will start shipping the new model whose commercial name is unknown. So if I were Nintendo, would I actually name it the Switch? Microsoft is in a new console cycle. Sony is in a new console cycle. I may not even name this thing the Switch. They're calling it the Switch Pro now, but if Nintendo was smart, I would market this as a totally new device. I would treat it as if we're in a totally new console cycle as well. That gives me equal standing with Microsoft and Sony. You have new products? Well, you know what? We have new products as well. We have a whole new console. The console is going to be a significant upgrade from what I'm hearing. It's going to feature a larger screen, 720p. It's also going to have, from what I'm hearing, 4K resolution when the system is docked, and that's the next big thing. It's going to be about playing video games in 4K, and if Nintendo can get there now, I think that's a huge plus for the company. But, once again, we can't ignore the possibility of a semiconductor shortage, and it's everywhere. But it looks like the potential manufacturers for the device are saying that they will be able to meet demand. So that's a huge positive. There's pictures floating around of what this device could potentially look like. So let's take a look at some. This one is my favorite. Now, I really don't think Nintendo will go with a purple color as like their press or release color. I'm guessing it's either going to be a white or maybe a black or maybe a red, but I think this looks very good. And I think that the original model or the actual model is going to look very close to this. Here it is, the original versus this rendering. Now these aren't actual pictures of the device. These are just renderings from various artists. But I think one of these guys are going to get very close. This one happens to be my favorite. Here's another one that looks really good. It kind of looks like the old Wii U, which nobody liked and hurt Nintendo sales wise. But all in all, I think it looks pretty good. Lastly, this one looks very close. This one, apparently this was a leaked image, but this one could look very close to the actual model. And I like how the dock is more independent and it allows you to still see the screen while it's docked. The current dock, once you dock the Switch, it kind of blocks the whole screen off. So this one looks, I wouldn't be surprised if this is what it actually looked like. That one looks very good. So all in all, guys, I'm looking to add, once again, a strong gaming stock to my portfolio, and I'm looking heavily at Nintendo because one, on a valuation standpoint, from a valuation standpoint, I should say, the company looks cheap. We went over the soundness of the company. The company's very sound. Revenue's good. Net income's good. Growing earnings per share. Good cash position. So that gives me comfort. Lastly, they're going into what could potentially be a new hardware cycle, and that's always a plus for companies like Microsoft and Sony, even with how large they are. Sony is actively trying to increase profitability with the PlayStation 5. I believe with the PlayStation 3 and 4, at certain points, they were building these machines and they weren't making any money off of them. So these machines weren't profitable for the companies. They're starting to change that with the PlayStation 5 because they see the big picture. We need to make money off the hardware and the software. But Nintendo's never really had those problems. The Switch, like I said earlier in this video, is their cash cow, and that's probably how it's going to be going forward. So, leave a comment for me, guys. Let me know what you think. If you like the content, hit the like button. Let me know what you think about this idea. Nintendo's a relatively quiet stock. I check it on, some of the forums. I check it on StockTwits. The price doesn't move that much, but I think they needed a spurt. The Switch is pretty old. It's been out for almost 5 years, and there was really no reason to buy the stock. But this is a good reason. New console cycle. I think the stock's at $70 now. I see no reason why it couldn't double. It actually did more than double, I believe, with the introduction of the new Switch. So now the stock has pretty much doubled. So I'm bullish on Nintendo. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. I'm Ty. This is Stock Muscle. I'll check you guys out later. Thanks.